Um, Tell us one specific city project that would contribute to a better quality of life in Northport.
I think just thinking about a city project that would contribute to Northport in terms of, my heart's in downtown. My heart is in Main Avenue and all of that, because that's what brought us here. That's what made us move to Northport to begin with. And we like being able to walk to downtown. I think if we can get our heart right the heart of downtown Northport, I feel like if we can get that right, and believe me, it's great down there. It is great, but it could be so much greater. And it doesn't, I'm not talking about tens of thousands of people. I'm not talking about 6-story buildings. I'm talking about it could be better from a design standpoint. The usable space that's down there, the restaurants, the stores, it could be so much better. And I think if we can get that heart of Northport so much better than what it is now, everything kind of grows from there, right? And I think from a design standpoint, you know, those are the decisions we have to make. We have to look at what are we bringing into downtown Northport or anywhere else that's going to benefit us, yes, next year, but 10 years from now, 30 years from now. We've got to make those decisions, and we've got to look long term to make sure that we're not messing up what could be. And that's what I want to bring to the table, is being able to make those kind of decisions. I think downtown Northport is probably, and that goes Riverwalk and spreads all down through there. And don't get me started on the river, because there's a lot of work that can be done on the river.
All right, let's move to District 2. So, Mr. Washington, you know you're going to be on the spot. Let me repeat the question, though. Name one past vote you cast that you would now change, and one vote that you cast that contributed to better quality of life in Northport.
You know, for me, I think this is a real hard one. Possibly agency funding, probably giving more in different places. But you know, for me, one of the most important things was making sure that our employees receive their cost of living. So changing agency funding, because I was always an advocate for employees, but my thought always been we have to take care of our employees first before we take care of people outside of Northport. So making sure that they receive their cost of living and step raises every year was really important to me because of inflation, the economy, and they have kids to raise, groceries to buy, and the need for finances to be stronger, and that retains employees, quality employees in the city of Northport. Some of the proud moments is getting the Boys and Girls Club back to Northport, getting Focus Plus back to Northport, or to Northport, you know, creating different events for everybody in the city, you know, Groove and Grub, Touch a Truck, Holiday at City Hall, different events like that. You know, some say why we waste money, but it's all about quality of life for everybody in the city. And I believe River Run Park is going to be one of the biggest things that you're going to see in Northport, just because our kids in this city are going to have a chance to play quality tournament baseball and softball. So those would be things.
Mr. Stone, tell us one specific city project that would contribute to better quality of life in Northport.
I would have to agree that the River Run Park is probably one that I would think of first. It is going to provide, you know, state-of-the-art baseball fields for a lot of young people. One thing that does concern me about the park is the management of it and the opportunities for it. the kids at Kentucky for. I've heard some things about that I don't know all the details to, but from what I've heard, there's not going to be as many opportunities as one would think locally. But I do think overall, it is going to bring in some businesses to go along with that, because if people come to Northport to play, they need places to stay and places to eat. So I think that may in the future help draw in more businesses that the actual citizens could enjoy too.
Mr. Edwards, one specific project that you think would improve the quality of life?
The one specific project.
Microphone close.
I'm nervous. This is my first time.
Yeah, that's fun. We just want to hear what you have to say.
To me, the River Run project is a great project. I went out there and saw it Saturday. It looked very good. But I'm also big on education. Today, Riverside and Matthews is looking into a position to where it's sad. You take 1% tax, and you said that $350,000 divided amongst 10 schools. Okay, 10 schools, $350,000, but you got $350 million resorts, and probably what, $6 million baseball field. So you got Riverside and Matthews looking like a shambles. What price is it that the student's going to pay to have a better education and a better way of life? What price is it they're going to pay? What price is it the teacher's going to pay? Because you want to build a resort that is not benefiting no one. $800,000 condominiums, luxury apartments. You got the baseball field. But look at Riverside and Matthews. Look at the other neighborhoods that have been left behind. You talk about you don't want public transportation. Have y'all ever been into the neighborhoods that where low-income people live at? You have a lot of people that want to work but don't have transportation. So why is it that it's a crime that put public transportation into the city of Northport? I don't understand that. It don't add up.
And moving on to District 3. So we have our incumbent is Mr. Wiggins, and I'll repeat the question because it's been a little while. One past vote you cast that you would now change, and one vote that you cast that contributed to better quality of life in Northport.
I think the vote that, to be honest, I think the one that I would change is probably the vote on opening up the community center to sell it. Although I don't regret it, because I think it led to, for me, understanding. I was only on the council for a month or two when that happened, and I think I didn't really understand how meaningful this park and the center was to people. And I don't regret it, because one of the things we did, I think, is make better use of it and, repair it, invest in some of the city properties that had been neglected over the years and had not been maintained like they should have been, and I think we need to do a better job of that going forward. I think River and Park is an easy one that is going to improve quality of life, because it's going to bring money into Northport, and it's going to give us opportunities to invest those funds in other ways. But I also think the investment in repairing some of the city properties was valuable as well.
Ms. Conger, that question is one specific city project that you think would contribute to better quality of life in Northport.
Well, the thing that I would say is not the most fun, it's not the most party thing, but I don't know if you've been to District 3 lately, but we have a flooding problem. And if we do not focus our city efforts on the infrastructure problems in District 3 and in other districts as well, long-term is going to be a bigger problem, and we need to get a handle on it. I have walked more creeks, culverts, and other things I probably don't know the right name for because I'm a lawyer, not an engineer. But And something has got to be done. You know, I keep saying, I meet citizens, they don't care about the lagoon down 82, they care about the lagoon in their backyard. And I know I keep saying that, but I hope if I keep saying it, maybe we'll actually do something about it. And that's gonna take some partnership with other entities, and that was mentioned earlier on the other panel. You know, we gotta start playing well with others to come up with these big solutions for these big problems. And until we come to the table and start working together, our citizens deserve better infrastructure. And it may not be the most fun, exciting thing I could say up here, but if we don't have the best infrastructure, you're gonna have a whole big problem growing the city in other ways.
And now for District 4, Ms. Dykes, you are the incumbent, so I ask you first, one past vote you cast that you would now change, and one vote that you think contributed to a better quality of life in Northport.
Boy, that's a no-brainer for me, because I'm reminded of it every time I get on social media. But it would be the suspension of the rules when University Beach came onto the scene. And what people don't understand is, even if I had voted yes, that vote was going to take place in 24 hours, period. It would never have stopped University Beach. It just would have delayed that action taking place. And if I could go back and do it over again, then that's exactly what I would do. But moving on to what's more positive, and this is kind of a twofold for me, because I really have been invested in River Run Park as a former player and coach. That has just been a dream come true. But I think the thing that I'm most proud of is, I'm gonna have to agree with Mr. Washington, is our COLA raises for our employees. Our employees are the foundation of this city, whether you realize it or not. Everybody is very important to us, and that makes our city, and be able to give them a better quality of life has been something that will always go down, I think, in this council's history.
Mr. Clark, I'm so sorry you're the last one again, but I'll get you soon. Trust me. So, one specific city project that you think would contribute to a better quality of life?
Yeah, with District 4, we have an identity problem. It's basically 6943 to Union Chapel to Mid-Larry, a little bit above. There's one sit-down restaurant. I'd like to see more restaurants in the area, nicer restaurants, and more importantly, a community park. There's not one park inside District 4. I think Ms. Dykes agrees on that one, that we would like to see a community area, commune area where people can get together, spend time with their neighbors, keep the money with restaurants in that area, and just kind of build a little bit of identity for that area.
Well, our candidates will not be surprised that we got some questions about the University Beach project. The University Beach developers project a stream of more than 600,000 visitors a year. And I have two questions. What measures should the City Council take to ensure that the city's infrastructure, water supply, sewage treatment, and so forth, can handle the increased demand? And specifically, will utility rates increase to cover the needed upgrades? Okay, let's go through that again. Measures to ensure that the infrastructure can handle the increased demand, and specifically, will utility rates increase to cover the needed upgrades? As a council member, what would you say, Mr. Clark? You get to go first this time.
All right, thank you. Good question. Infrastructure in the water park is very important. I would have to go and look at the budgets to see where we are with, as far as if utilities will rise. You would think when you redo the budgets, you're going to have to factor in that with, the next council. I would have to be honest and say that it looks like something will have to give to make that work out. I'm not for the water park, so I am very, torn on this. So I would think that it would probably have to rise and the money would have to come from somewhere.
And skip down to Mr. Washington. Shall I repeat the question? Okay. What measures should the council take to ensure that the city's infrastructure, water and sewage and so forth, can handle the demand, and specifically, will utility rates increase?
All right, infrastructure. Since 2020, that's been one of my biggest things, only because in District 2, since 2020, that's been one of my biggest things. You know, I brag about District 2 has received almost 100 million, you know, into the district in the past 5 years, only because District 2 has been starving for infrastructure work, for projects and things like that. But on most council agenda, you see projects dealing with our pumps, our infrastructure. And the good thing about being in District 2, you know, we're in the older district, everything flows to District 2. So a lot of money has been pumped into District 2 for infrastructure. And that leads back towards University Beach, up 43, up 69. So a lot of money is invested right now, and there's more money continue to get invested into, especially my district and most of the parts of the town. Water bill rates, I mean, I'm just like everybody else. I have a water bill, but again, I have about 7 water bills. And do I want my water bill to go up? No. But everybody knows to continue to have quality water, you know, you have to invest back into a quality water. So, but at the end of the day, you know, I wouldn't dare want my water to grow, but just because of just being a realistic person, you're gonna have to continue to put money back to make sure that we have the quality of water that you want. You know, you hear about people, my water was brown, my water stopped, you know, that's just because things failed and you have to increase the, you know, projects. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, your thoughts on infrastructure that will sustain the University Beach project and specifically water bills?
So, the first thing I think is the infrastructure, water, sewer, that's already been figured out, right? We're at the point right now that that's already been figured out because they're moving dirt up there. So that should have already been figured out. So it's, to me, it's not an issue when I get into office. It's not an issue, it's already been figured out. Because you don't start a big problem like that, or, I'm sorry, a big project. That was you don't start,
folks, back on task.
you don't start a big project like that without figuring those things out. And so, in my mind, water and sewer are not a problem. That stuff's been figured out. That was figured out a long time ago. Because that's what you do. You figure those things out first, then you build a project. So that's where I am with that. If we didn't build anything else, our water bills are going to rise, right? Cost of living is going to rise. Our clothes are going to, the cost is going to rise. So water is going to rise. It shouldn't have to rise just because we're bringing in more uses of water. Again, that should have been figured out on the front end. We should have figured out where we're getting the water from. It should have been designed that way, and it just shouldn't be an issue. So in my opinion, these are questions that, if the project was done correctly, those are not issues. We don't have to look backward. We're looking forward. So that's my take on that.
Mr. Edwards, your thoughts about infrastructure and specifically the water bills?
Okay, I'm gonna stand up on this one.
Okay, stand up and hold that mic close.
Okay. My thought about the water park, I don't agree with it. Specifically because that $350 million, the $60 million that the city gonna have to give a developers who is suspect. Once again, education. True to the game, like the young people say, true to the game. You true to the game, why are you gonna build a $350 million resort where you know if something happened there, There's gonna be an uproar by the citizens that live there. Okay, second, once again, Riverside and Matthews, Crestmont, all look rough. But you don't want to reconstruct the schools. You don't want to revitalize the schools. Why? Riverside and Matthews on a riverfront property, 1% tax, okay? 1% tax for the schools and everything. When they say 1% tax, that means that you can use that tax to buy Riverside and Matthews. Riverfront property is expensive, but why not, rebuild Matthews and Riverside on the same property? Why? It's been in our neighborhoods for years and years and years. I don't understand it. All because you want to build riverfront property up down there. It don't agree with me. And the river resort and all that, I don't agree with none of it.
Ms. Conger, shall I repeat the question?
I think I can remember it.
All right.
I took notes, we'll see how that goes.
Infrastructure and utility rates.
I know, I feel like I just talked about infrastructure and water. It's just a different water question. I honed in on something that Turnley said a minute ago, if done correctly. Did y'all hear him say that? And it dawns on me how little I know on whether anything's been done correctly. And that makes it very difficult to answer this question. So I would say my concern overall, and I think I've been very clear about this, is making sure things have been done correctly. And when you say 600,000 visitors, I look up to our law enforcement in the back of the room and the firefighters that I've been talking to, and I'm thinking, we're gonna need a lot more of them. We're gonna have road issues. We're gonna have issues, where are these employees coming from? We have businesses in town, I'm sure some of you know, who can't find people to work there. But we're gonna have 600,000 visitors. So I have a lot of questions about all of the other things that come along with, if things have been done correctly, as Mr. Smith says, then we're on to the next issue, and that concerns me because there's a lot I don't know. And I promise if elected, I'm gonna know. We're gonna get in there, we're gonna research, we're gonna do the things we need to do to make sure we get on track. And that's what I would like to focus on.
Ms. Dykes, would you like to speak to infrastructure and specifically water bills?
I could probably talk about this for about the next 45 minutes, but you don't want to hear that. Right, Mr. Smith was correct. A lot of this has been planned out. But how far out has it been planned? And like he said, has it been done correctly? We're so in the beginning stages of this. Yes, they are moving dirt, and there are some issues that are being addressed with the infrastructure. But I'm like Ms. Conger, there are a lot of things I want to know that I don't know about this project, and I'm sitting here on this council. I think there are a lot of issues that have to be addressed, and not just the infrastructure for the water park, but for the rest of the city. We have an issue in my district because the sewer does not go all the way up Highway 69. So it makes it very difficult for developers to come in and have, develop a new neighborhood or townhouses or whatever. I believe there was a question in there about the water bill. I mean, I'm not a rocket science, but it's a lagoon, people. We've got to fill it up. Unless something has changed, they're not pulling that water out of the Warrior River. So it's going to come from somewhere. And my thought is that most likely it will go up. Has that conversation been had yet? Not to my knowledge, but just being realistic, I can't see that it won't.
Mr. Wiggins, do I need to repeat the question?
No, I think I can follow it. So the projects to accommodate the water park are already underway. There's a water treatment sewage treatment outflow project that is moving the outflow of the sewage treatment plant to the river from the creek where it empties currently. That is a project that's coordinated with the Corps of Engineers. It's a multi-year project that's been going on. So on the sewage side, yes, that will allow us to have greater capacity with the entire system. The 82 West Pump Station, which is a project that we've been working on for quite some time for the water system, that is also going to, it's right across the street from where the University Beach project is, so that's going to accommodate the water. Obviously, filling that lagoon, they're gonna have to pay for the water to go in the lagoon. We're not giving it to them for free, so I don't anticipate that the project itself will increase water rates. I know there are other things that we need to do infrastructure-wise. There's a District 3, basically, we don't have any additional sewage capacity, so we can't add any houses in District 3. So there's an $8 to $10 million sewage project that needs to take place to expand the sewer system at Highway 69. We're exploring getting grant money for that. We're exploring other methodology, but basically, there are other infrastructure things that we need to do that may increase rates. I don't know that there's no plan to do that, but it's a possibility. I don't think University Beach is going to contribute to that, though.
Mr. Stone, you're still on University Beach, though. Tell us what you think about the management of infrastructure and specifically the water bills.
Early in the campaign season, I went to Northport Creek. It was probably my first stop as far as knocking on doors. And I spoke to several people who live in that neighborhood who have already been experiencing water pressure issues due to University Beach. One lady in particular, she's had her pressure release valve blown 3 times, and her neighbor across the street actually came home one evening to a flooded house where a pipe burst due to the high pressure. And right around the corner from her house, they were experiencing low pressure. So, and it could be, changing from day to day or week to week. I don't really know the time frame of when all this happened, but so I know there's been some effects already from people in District 2 related to University Beach. And going to as far as infrastructure, we talk a lot about the sewage, the roadways. We all live in Northport. We all drive here every day, and there's congestion out the yin yang every afternoon when I come home. It's like fighting just to get from where I work to get home. There's no clear path you can try to cut through like we used to, and it just doesn't happen anymore. So I think that part of the infrastructure really needs to be done. And going back to Turnley, I know he said it, and Jamie kind of dovetails, so I'm going to dovetail too. If this project was done properly in the beginning, there should have been a good risk analysis done on the water, the roadways, the first responders. And again, I don't know, maybe that was done, but I have not heard that, I have not seen that personally. But as a person who has led projects where I work, that's just that's like the basic things you do before the project ever launched, or you ask for money. And as far as rates increase, it would be a shame for us to raise rates for water when we're already giving this project $22 million and promised them $63 million in tax abatements. That would be a shame on the city to increase our rates.
And Ms. Bobo, we have not heard your thoughts on this, and let's get a microphone to her. And I think we will have covered everyone. Ms. Bobo.
I think one of the elephants in the room that we kind of danced around and haven't really talked about is the money that has been pledged to University Beach. That money is being pledged as a reimbursement for infrastructure that they are putting in. So the city is not putting in the infrastructure for that project. The developer is putting the infrastructure in and has the ability to apply for reimbursement for those expenses up to a certain percentage. So yes, there were infrastructure studies. Yes, we were lacking. Yes, they are having to put that in before it is built out. What I don't personally agree with is when a new business, specifically a restaurant, wants to come to downtown Northport, District 1, District 2, what have you, because it's so closely together. them having to put in their own water sewer. I feel like we should have water and sewer going to those properties so that people will want to invest and bring new businesses to our city. The good thing about that is that we have started within the last 2-3 months a study for that, so we know where we stand and where we are lacking in that, so that we can look for funding to put towards that. Will the utility rates increase? I think it's been said a couple of times. Yes, utility rates are always going to fluctuate with, just like cost of living will. I don't think that utility rates would increase because of this project. I think that is absolutely something that no one on the council currently would want. We don't want to burden the citizens with extra taxes. We're looking for ways to find extra revenues to come into the city so that we can reduce those taxes.
We got one more question about University Beach. Please don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reading the question. Many residents are concerned that the University Beach project will never be completed. What are the contingency plans in case that happens? And I'm going to start this time with Ms. Dykes, and I just really am going to go right down the table this time. Contingency plans should University Beach not be completed. Ms. Dykes?
I think that's a very good question. Given the history of the developer in Texas, I think that is a very viable question from our citizens. Honestly, I don't know what our contingency plans are because everyone is planning on it being successful. I don't think that's a conversation that has even been had yet. And what if he doesn't make it? That I do know that we will get our property back if something happens. The money, the original 11 acres that we had. But as far as what will happen to that property, he still owns that property. So if it fails, he is still the owner of that property, and he will have the determination on whether he wants to sell it or he wants to do something else with it. So at this point, I certainly have not had that conversation with him.
Mr. Clark.
Sorry. I'm not sure where we are. I mean, I know I don't have the information that the current council has. I would think that I know the city gets their land back and the developers currently own that land. So hopefully we have a plan in place for new development, and with the new hotel coming in, hopefully they have a plan as well. So as far as what I know, that's about as much as I can answer on that question.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins.
So the development agreement that was signed in February 2024, if the water park is not built and operating within 5 years, then the land that the city bought, which is the 11.7 acres, reverts back to the city. If they do not build the infrastructure, they don't get reimbursed for it. So we have the $20 million in the bond that the city took out would not be used for the park because they didn't build the infrastructure. So they have to build it, they have to operate the park. The tax abatements that they're supposed to get only apply if the park is built and operating for the entire 30-year agreement. So if they don't do what they said they're going to do, they still own the land that they bought, but the city's obligation basically goes away. We'll still own the 12 acres. We will still have the bond and the bond payment, but as far as the University Beach obligation, those go away if the developer doesn't build what he says he's going to do. And credit to our legal team that put the agreement together over a year to protect the city in that way.
Ms. Connor, do you have thoughts?
I do. Maybe have 2 minutes. Let me put my lawyer hat on. There's obviously been a contract done. And I do think the legal team at the city drafted that contract as they were directed by the majority of the council that was there at that time. And I'll let you draw whatever inference from that you will. I think because of that, I think what's important for those who sit on the new council is to have outside counsel review all of those contracts to see where we are, what these contingencies that Mr. Wiggins is talking about, what are the obligations on them? Because I'm gonna tell you, looking at that agreement, I would disagree that it was really drafted in the city's favor. It looks like it was drafted so that the people could build their park or maybe walk with the money. But that's just me. So I think it's important to get outside counsel in. Let's look at that agreement and let's hold everybody to what they signed up for. And if they don't complete what's on their side, then that's something we need to look at.
Mr. Washington?
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Wiggins, said a lot, and he's 100% accurate what he said, so I'm not gonna try to repeat it. My thing is, anytime you go in business, COVID taught us a lot. Anything can happen. Life can happen, things can happen. Our legal team done their job, done their homework, and anytime somebody go out and wanna start a business, no matter who it is, anybody in this room can go and start a business. And there's a possibility that anything can fail. I mean, that's just business. So the plan is in place, the legal team worked, and it was more than just the city legal team. It was attorneys outside the city that was gonna work as well, so.
Mr. Stone?
I don't really think I can add any more than already been said about it. I don't, like I said, I don't really know what the incumbents know about the contracts. And it's been already said that we really haven't even discussed what we would do if this project fails. But going back to the business side of this, in my opinion, the city gambled with a lot of money that we're gonna have to pay for. One way or the other, we got those bonds. The taxpayers in Northport are going to have to pay for it. So I don't know if it was a smart business decision, partnering with a company that has no successful track record of a project this size. So if it fails, I would hope that we could come together as a city and make a choice that would benefit the city of Northport, just not the administration or the people in office, but the people of Northport, the citizens. And whatever that would look like, I'd be in favor of, as long as the people, the ones who are sitting out here, were happy with it.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes, I'm with the guys here and the young ladies. I would love to see what was in that contract, because I would ask several times, but I wanted it on paper. I didn't want it to look at it on the internet. I don't want it email. I wanted it on paper where I could see who benefited from it. Okay, now if they doesn't finish the job, what are the obligations? Are they gonna be fined for not finishing the job on time, or what? It doesn't make sense if they could walk away without paying something.
Mr. Smith?
So if the beach fails, I think the first thing we do is we all get on buses and we drive to Texas. we find this guy. My take on this is, if the beach is going to survive and it's going to be successful, then it will be successful. If it's going to fail, it will fail. And I think for Northport, only time will tell. And whether that is a new council getting in there and really picking it apart and trying to figure out what's best for Northport, that in itself may cause it to fail, right? It may cause it to go in a different direction. I don't want us to have a victim mentality in Northport. I want us to make the best decisions, but I don't want us to kind of roll over and die on this one just because of a lot of money and a big bad developer, right? You've heard people say that the beach is going to be great and we're going to see 600,000 visitors. We can't fathom what 600,000 visitors looks like. I think there's only one place near here that takes on 600,000 visitors a year, and it happens 8 Saturdays. So we can't fathom what that looks like and what it takes to handle 600,000 visitors. So I really believe that the future of the beach is going to happen the way it's supposed to happen, right? I really do believe that. But we've got to do our part to make sure it fails or it's successful.
And Ms. Bobo, thank you for waiting to be last.
Oh, absolutely. And being District 1, I don't usually get to be last, so I kind of appreciate getting to hear everyone else's opinion and weighing in on that. I think there are different aspects from pulling from something that everybody said. It is absolutely natural to have fear about it, what might happen, what could happen, and the best thing, ooh, this one got louder real quick. The best thing about this project, in my mind, is that the city is not taking on the debt of building a water park. So that was something that was on the table. It's something that I did not agree with. And having a private developer take on the project and take on that risk, take on the liability of the insurance, covering employees, covering if someone were to get hurt. I'm thankful the developer is coming in to do that, and that we have a legal team who's worked on those stop gaps in case they don't meet the deadlines and the requirements. I've already, through retail development, been able to speak with a lot of different developers who have been interested in Northport to come here, whether it be for neighborhoods or restaurants, retail, box stores, who are interested because of the University Beach project. There have been so many other things that have spurred off of the potential of this happening, and I don't want us to lose traction with those things. I don't want to go over time either, but I think it's normal to have fear about the unknown and where will we get. I'm glad we have those fears around the developer's money and not the city's.
Well, let's talk about something that is going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon. The current city administrator is retiring, and the new council will need to find a replacement as soon as possible. What qualifications do you consider most important for this job, city administrator? And Ms. Conger, why don't you begin this time?
So the question is, what qualities
are we looking city administrator?
I think we need a city administrator that brings City Hall back together. I think we need someone who department heads and everyone working for the city of Northport believes is operating in their best interest. Also think we need someone who will stay on top of, for example, with HR or job qualifications or resources, someone that is going to have plans in place in order to make sure that the city is operating the best way possible. And I would want someone, I think we talked about this earlier too, if our goal is for everyone to come to the table and you're putting this much trust in someone as a city administrator, that person has to have the qualities that someone wants to sit at the table with. Right? It's like who, so we have got to find someone who, I guess, like we tell our children, plays well with others, and can sit at the table with the county and with Tuscaloosa, and we all can work together for the best interest of Northport.
Ms. Bobo, the new city administrator, what are the most important qualifications?
And I hate that we are losing the current city administrator. Ms. Linda Webb has been conduit for all of us. She's been the glue. She's had the contacts to be able to reach across the table and talk to our partners at the county and the city of Tuscaloosa. I know we had a couple who said that that was not going on so great, but I beg to differ. We've got the Synergy Center right across from Kentucky Park. That's the county. We helped them with that project and have worked together on that greatly. We've been working with our Tuscaloosa big brother across the river on the things that are coming with River Run Park and how to promote Tuscaloosa. So I think that those relationships are going well. I think the new city administrator is going to have those same types of qualities to be able to bind everyone together, to be that glue, to be able to be the glue with our department heads. They are a great team as well. We have a great team of city employees from the top to the bottom, and because we have been able to invest in them and keep good employees, I think that that's how we're getting better out of Northport. You know, Northport's a lot different than it was in 2020. And I don't think it would be without investment from the people who work there every single day. So I think most important qualification of a city administrator is to be able to be that glue, to have everyone sit at the table together and come up with those new ideas, better ways to work, and to have those relationships, some already in place, and have the ability to build new.
Mr. Clark, if you're elected, what will you be looking for in the city administrator?
I'm not scared to say it. I want that person to know more than I do. I want it to be, like Ms. Connor said, a unifying voice. Somebody that's got a good background with legalese and the HRs, and somebody that can bring everybody to the table, get us all together and have a checks and balance kind of system to make sure we're all keeping our end of the bargain, and the mayor and the rest of the city hall is doing their end of the bargain.
Mr. Smith?
So the first thing I started thinking about is the panel that was before us. You had 4 gentlemen that obviously love Northport. They hold Northport up very dear to their own hearts. And obviously, one of them will get elected, 3 of them will not. And so I start thinking about, man, there's 3 guys right there that love Northport. And I think, you know, you start looking at those kind of qualities of the city administrator. Someone who cares about Northport more than they care about themselves. And I think I really like that idea of being able to know more about what they're doing than we would. So I think you've got to bring somebody in who really knows their stuff. And it's not just a kind of a starting position or a first rung of the ladder hoping to get to their 25, 30 years. So I think it's going to be super important to find that person, and I think that person is out there. I think that person, that position will probably be one of the most important positions we see filled in the next few months, more so than any of us. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that is, but I think that person, again, has to love Northport more than they love themselves.
Ms. Dykes, what will you be looking for if you were re-elected?
Well, I believe that we need somebody who has experience in government, that doesn't come into this, who has no idea what they're doing, but someone that knows how to juggle a council, a community, and staff without creating silos that can bring unity together. Somebody who believes in transparency, somebody who, is front and center and leads by example. But I think the most important thing is finding somebody who has some experience and also shares a deep love for the city of Northport as well.
Mr. Edwards, do you have thoughts about what you would be looking for in the city administrator?
Yes, I'll be looking for someone who is godly, who's honest, transparent, someone who's gonna look out for the people of Northport, who's gonna be fair and open-minded.
Well, Mr. Wiggins, what would you think?
Well, I come from a background of business, and it is frustrating a lot of times to understand how city government works. So I think having somebody who has experience in city government and how those processes work, I'm always going in to ask Linda on my meetings with her every week. what can we do here? How does this work? What are our ordinances about this? So I think just having somebody with that depth of knowledge is important. I think focusing on putting together, I think Ms. Webb has done this, but I think focusing on our processes and procedures to continue to improve in the city government is important. We have a lot of major projects. A lot of what the city administrator does is project management, and I think you need to have some background in managing projects. You also need good relationships with other community leaders, whether it's the city of Tuscaloosa or the county. And, I think it's important to look for somebody with a proven background of leadership who is willing to challenge staff when we don't do things well, because, that happens at times too.
Mr. Stone, what would you be looking for in the city administrator?
I will agree with Carl on one of the last statements. I think we need to find somebody who has a good reputation in the community, and that is willing to say no to the council. I don't think that has happened very much, at least, and again, I'm just like you guys. I'm looking at things from the outside in, so I don't really know. Maybe they did that on some occasions, but it just doesn't feel like it. Again, coming from the outside looking in, that the city administrator was able to say, well, may have not even been able to say no. Maybe she was directed to do certain things. I would like somebody in place who has the knowledge and the know-how and the backbone to say, no, this is not legal, this is not right, it's unethical, and it's just not what's best for our city. So that would be something that I would look for, just qualities of somebody who has a good reputation, has experience in leading people, because they're going to be leading us and the mayor. And I agree with Mr. Orlando. I would prefer somebody who is also godly, who has Christian values. That's, to me, that's one of the most important things we can have as a leader, is Christian values. Because when you have those values in place, you treat everybody on a level playing field. It's not about this or that. It's about the character of the person, and that's what I was looking for.
Mr. Washington, finish this out for us.
Yes, ma'am. I had a chance to hear everybody. Thank y'all. But, I've watched Northport for a long time. And, you can just look at how Northport is today and think about who do you want to lead this city as a city administrator. We can have all different type of people as city administrators over the years. But I promise you, as a former city employee from Tuscaloosa, Northport employees used to come here, get trained, and go elsewhere to work. I had the opportunity to sit on the board or on the council with this last hire, Ms. Linda Webb. And in 2020, our police department, fire department, all city workers, pay was way lower than most cities in the Southeast. 5 years later, people are coming to Northport to work. Every spot, maybe minus one, in the police department is full. That's not normal in the police department, I promise you. Cities are 200 men short, 20, 30. Northport Police Department are full. And they're not trying to leave to go to another city. Fire department the same way. Paramedics was a shortage. We have more money coming into Northport than Northport has ever seen, in my opinion. District 2 received $100 million. Where did that money come from? Because the city administrator worked her butt off. We need somebody just like Ms. Glenda Webb, is what I'm saying. Somebody who know how to go into the room and receive money from the county, the state, the federal, and bring it back to our great city.
Let's move in another direction. Quality schools draw citizens who invest in their communities. So, what improvements in our schools would you like to see? How much of the city's budget should be invested in those improvements? And in particular, do you support the creation of a separate Northport school district? So we have improvements, city's budget, and separate school system. And I don't think I've picked on Mr. Stone to go first yet. So he's going first this time.
All right, so, your question was improvements,
Yes,
investments, and city money, right?
That's right.
All right, one of the improvements that I would like to see, just not, we're talking about Northport, so we'll keep it Northport. I believe that it shouldn't matter if you go to, Matthews Elementary or Varner Elementary, just a few miles down the road, you should see the same quality of building. You should see the same quality of technology, the same quality of standards across the board. To me, it's not fair to the children that live in Northport and go to Matthews or Riverside to attend school in the environment that they've been going to for years. You can just drive a few miles down the road and see the same school system, and it looks like a modern-day college campus. But to me, there's a problem there, and I don't know where that starts or where it ends. But I would like to see Northport invest more into the schools that are within our city limits. And I don't have the answer for that, but I do know we have a 1 cent sales tax, and that brings in about $8 million a year. And I think Orlando stated earlier tonight that we have designated $350,000 to these schools. Out of $8 million, surely to goodness we can invest more than $350,000 into our children's future. So that'd be one way we can invest more. What did I miss?
Separate school system, yes or no?
Separate school system. So as it sits right now, I don't believe we can afford it as a city. Now, maybe if University Beach is successful, maybe years down the road when we're bringing in all this what-if money from tax revenue, maybe we could think about it then, but as it sits right now, we can't afford it.
Mr. Edwards, improvements, amount of budget, and separate school system.
Okay, improvements. I think that most of the schools doesn't need improvement, but Matthews and Riverside need a lot of improvement. Just go by there, take time to go there and look at the schools, how terrible shape they're in. You got the kids there, you got the teachers there. The inside, the paint is coming off the wall and stuff. Why is it that they want Riverside and Matthews to go down? Is it because they're on the riverfront? But see, they don't want to talk about that. You got kids in that school system in danger. But you'd rather put up a $350 million beach resort before you revitalize Matthews and Riverside. What's going on? Now, separate school systems. Unlike Mr. Zach, I don't think it would be a good time right now. Like you said, the beach resort or the baseball field out there, park. Yes, if they generate the resources and the income and stuff, yeah, we could do that. But right now, we can't do it. But it's sad that the kids are going to suffer.
Mr. Wiggins.
I have 4 kids, and all 4 of my kids graduated from county high. So one of the reasons I was interested in kind of what was happening in Northport politics is because I had kids in the system. They're all graduated now, but you know, I think that one of the reasons we probably haven't done more is that we don't have a very good relationship, in my opinion, with the County Board of Education. I think that has been because of the city government has looked at splitting across, you know, splitting and creating a Northport city school system, and I think some people in the county board present that. We did a study, it actually came out right after I joined the council, but it took place before that to look at creating a school system. And to pay for property taxes would take 3 to 5 times the property tax we're paying for today, and nobody wants that. I mean, nobody would vote for that here, and it would have to be a vote. So The only other way to do it is to expand the tax base as it exists today, which is bringing in more development, bringing in more visitors, bringing in more business, and that's what we're trying to do. Whether it's Riverfront Park, whether it's University Beach, whether it's recruiting other, development, that is the only way it would ever happen. And the more revenue we bring in, the more opportunity we would have to put money toward the school system. I think we can do more, and I think it's a long-term plan. We're not going to fix it in a year.
Ms. Bobo, improvements, budget, and separate school system.
Parroting what's already been said, we are not at a point where we can have a separate school system. I think it's important for us to support the county school system where we are right now and continue to look for additional revenue so that we don't have to raise taxes. I think we've got to get a little bit further down the road before we can look at that again. The school study that we received showed me, in my opinion, that it was absolutely not, we're not capable of getting there right now. What we are capable of doing and what we have done, I don't know if some of the incumbents remember it or not, but we have invested with the county board for some capital projects. We have met with them many times. We were meeting once a month, and I'm sorry, I don't remember which committee it was, if it was admin committee or projects. We were meeting with them and trying to seek out their needs and ways that we can help beyond that $350 million in first funds that we give them. So we've helped with County High's Jumbotron. We've helped with SROs, or student resource officers, at some of the schools. There have been other projects that we've helped with. Sorry, I don't have a list of them here with me. But there are other ways that we need to contribute to the school system and help them with those capital improvements that need to happen now. And I beg to differ with you. I don't think it's just Matthews and Riverside. I think we have some things that we need to help with every single one of our schools in Northport, all of them. Eccles has a lot of needs, and we need to work with them on those capital improvements any way that we can.
Ms. Dykes?
Well, I think people need to understand that the city of Northport has no say-so what happens at the county level. They are a completely separate entity, just like Tuscaloosa County is, Tuscaloosa City. So we really have no input there. Like Ms. Bobo said, we have definitely invested in different projects within the school system. I think, to invest more, I think would need to be a budget project and someone, with that financial background to look at what areas we can go in and help with the school systems. But that's a little bit of a touchy subject because we don't have any say-so over there. So Mr. Higdon and I have had this conversation before. How do we give a lump sum of money to the county board and just say, here, do this, when we do have school systems, schools within our city limits that need to be addressed. Certainly Matthews and Collins Riverside, Flatwoods all need to have attention, but does the onus fall on the city of Northport to correct those issues? And I don't know that question can be answered here. As far as the school system, I would love for one day the city of Northport to have their own school system. It is not the right time now, but one day eventually I think that would happen. But right now I have a daughter who graduated and was educated in the Tuscaloosa County school system. She's a presidential scholar who started law school this week, so I have no issues with the Tuscaloosa County school system. So go Cats.
Mr. Clark, what do you say on this subject?
I agree with the points of almost everyone. Stone having the quality of education across the board. Ms. Dykes with the Board of Education controlling most of the money that goes out to all the schools. And then with the budgets and the capital projects that Ms. Bobo stated, and then the revenue brought in, like Mr. Wiggins said. So we can't control how the money gets dispersed, except we do give, the city of Northport does give out $350,000 to be dispersed amongst all the schools. I have 4 kids in schools now. Some schools they're scared to go to with facility upgrades that are much needed, but again, that's more of a Board of Education problem. But if the City of Northport can work with the Board of Education and work on improvements whichever way we can, as much as we can, I'm fully supportive of that. As far as the separate school systems, we don't have the revenue that's coming in like Baldwin County, with Orange Beach and Gulf Shores separating from Baldwin County. They made it easy. They could do that. They have all the tourism dollars coming in. As of right now, we don't have tourism dollars coming in. With the Northport Beach, I mean, honestly, I hope it is successful because that revenue offsets taxes, brings in more money for things that we can do and offer and work with budgets. And like Mr. Stone, we are at disadvantage of budgets because we have not worked in the past budgets, yearly budgets, and see where we go going forward. So, that's a lot of
Mr. Washington?
Northport schools. First District 2 has some of the oldest schools. We have Matthews Elementary, Riverside, Collins Riverside, Crestmont. Every district has to deal with Edwards because we only have one middle school in the city. So, you know, for me, the county board controls the school system 100%. 100%. We've given the $350 yearly to the principals of the schools. They can decide what they want to do with the money, if it's iPads, if it's something dealing with security. That's a choice of the principals at each school. Can we do more? Yes, we can. Me personally, I think we should have opportunity for the citizens of Northport to decide on the school system. I think we should have an opportunity to vote and say yes or no. I mean, if you want your property tax raised a little bit, for our kids that lives inside of Northport can have a better quality of education, as in facilities, not just the curriculum, because we have great teachers and have great administrators. But our schools are down. I mean, my mom graduated from Riverside. She was the last high school graduate at Riverside. And my grandbabies went to intermediate school there. It's a problem. I've been fighting about the school system for 5 years. And Mr. Danny would say, last meeting we had, he was like, it costs over $30 million to build one school. And I thought that was crazy. I believe the citizens of Northport should have opportunity to vote on the school system. And if we want a better quality of life and education for our kids, we vote yes. If not, we just have to be quiet.
Mr. Smith?
So, I think that for schools, how can I put this? If we're thinking about a new school district, I think we're saying what we have now is broken. And while it may be dilapidated, it may be run down, I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's completely broken. So I do think it's important that we make the right decisions to fix what we have instead of replacing it completely. I feel like, yes, the county school system is in charge of making those decisions. And $350,000 is a lot to put towards that school system. But I would like to entertain the fact that if the council or the city of Northport's coming to the table with $350,000, maybe we do have somewhat of a voice or somewhat of advice to give, or and if money talks, then we're talking about more than $350,000, because I don't think we could spend too much on our kids' educations, on the teachers' salaries. We can't spend too much on that. I think everybody would agree on that. And you see these $70 million high schools being built. It's unreal. So I don't think we can put too much money towards it, but I think at some point we've got to be responsible in how much money are we putting and how much activity are we allowed to be a part of in making those decisions. Because I think it's a joint effort, it's a collaborative effort. And so I think it's important for us to really kind of step back and say, yes, this is the way we've been doing things, but we want to pump more money into schools, but we also want to have some say in how to do these things. There.
And Ms. Conger?
I'm going to try not to be repetitive. We'll see how that goes. I think this all boils down to, I think what you're hearing from everybody is that we need to have, like Carl said, and Jamie and some others, a better relationship with the Board of Education. It starts there because, you know, the legal entanglement we have with the fact that it's a county school system and we're the city of Northport, you know, does create issues. But if we foster those relationships, if people are willing to sit down at the table with us, we can accomplish so much more. We can have the conversations that Turnley's talking about, okay, 350, you don't want to give us a voice, then what, you know, what gives us a voice? Those conversations need to happen, and we need to have people in place that are willing to talk. You know, Ms. Bobo mentioned, you know, that some things that happened in committee meetings, and she wasn't sure which committee meeting, and I think this all gets me back to how we're running things, right? If we're in these work sessions and we're having more collaborative efforts across the district to discuss things like problems in the schools, infrastructure, things like that, then maybe we will come up with some better solutions together instead of broken off into these separate things. And the only other additional thing I would add that I don't believe has been said yet, we can support projects that go into our schools. And we do that. So we support, you know, I'm on the board for the Arts Council, I'm on the board for the Public Library Foundation. They go into our schools, and some of the entities that Mr. Washington has mentioned before, they go into the schools and provide additional services to our students, and we can't undervalue supporting those entities that go in and try to change our children's lives, either through the arts, through literacy, through, you know, other types of programs. And so I think we can also continue to support those entities because they are also changing our children's lives.
Well, that might lead into our next question. The city of Northport has about 13% of Tuscaloosa County's population. Would you support having the city of Northport contribute 13% of the Tuscaloosa County Library's annual budget? And if not, what would the library need to do to get that level of support from the city of Northport? And I'm going to start this time with Mr. Washington.
I mean, personally, my thoughts about it is, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be on any type of numbers, knowing exactly. But I know when we got into office, there was a certain amount of money that Northport was given. And over 5 years, and this is, to me, it's small, but it's big. I wanna say, we was given money, and we raised the budget. The first year we didn't. And every year afterwards we did. And when they had a project they needed, they asked for the money to fund it. Another project, they asked for the funding. In 5 years, we gave over $1.1 million. Please, I'm right. Am I close, Ms. You know, right around that amount, over $1 million to the public library within 4 years, 5 years. I mean, to me, we was trying to do more than the past councils over the years. Was it enough? Some would say no, some would say yes. You know, but I believe we have to, I said it earlier, just make sure that we can cover our employees' cost of living and stuff, and make sure that we can keep their health care down, because Northport employees have some of the best insurance probably in the state. And being able to use that money to make sure our employees are taken care of, because we want to retain the employees. And we want to make sure that we keep well-trained officers, firefighters, city employees in the city of Northport. So making the decisions to pay here or pay there. And I'm always going to choose for our employees.
Mr. Edwards, we got this budget question. 13% of the population, should it be 13% of the budget?
Say that again now.
Okay, then I'll repeat it for everybody. The city of Northport has about 13% of Tuscaloosa County's population. Would you support having the city of Northport contribute 13% of the Tuscaloosa County Library's annual budget? And if not, what would the library need to do to get that level of support from the city of Northport?
Well, first of all, we need to support our own citizens and libraries and stuff. To support another city library, if I'm correct, is that what you're saying, the Tuscaloosa Library?
It's the Tuscaloosa County Library, and it is managed by the city, the county, and the city of Northport. And I think the question is that the proportion of money is not commensurate with the population of Northport.
That's, you know, the money is an issue with it and everything, and I think that it should fall on someone else to support it due to the fact that we 13% of Tuscaloosa population. Know too much about the library support and all this, so I'm saying that I don't know about it. How should it go? I'm new to this game and everything, and hopefully, if I'm elected, I don't have the experience like Mr. Washington, 4 years of some of these other people up here, but I am passionate about Northport, Alabama. I bleed kind of high blue. I bleed Riverside red and gold, and I'm all for whatever making Northport a better place to live for each and every one. No matter what color you are, or where you live at. It's all about family and friends.
Ms. Conger, what are your thoughts? 13% of the population, should they be giving 13% of the budget? And if not, what should the library do to gain more support?
And like I said, just for transparency purposes, I am on the board of the Public Library Foundation, so I may be a bit biased here. You know, the issue comes with the funding for the library. I think people just think, oh, it's just a library. I don't think everyone realizes all of the services that the Tuscaloosa Public Library provides. It is far more than just a bunch of books and a building. There are other services for all different parts of the population that the library provides. When the studies are showing is that the citizens of Northport actually use the services of the public library more than the other entities involved. So then it becomes, okay, this is clearly something our citizens are using. What do we need to pay to make sure that our citizens still have it? And that is where the rub came this year, because what you also have got to realize is the library depends on things like federal grants. Well, when those go away, we've got to keep the library doors open, we've got to keep those services going. So for me, the public library is an entity that serves all of our citizens, the youngest to the oldest, across all of these districts, and we need to do our part to make sure they're able to continue those services, because literacy is what gets us to where we want to go. Literacy is at the foundation of everything, and so that brings the businesses, that brings all of these things we've been talking about. And so I'm always going to be in favor of making sure, along with the other entities, because I know Mr. Washington said we kept raising it, well, so did everybody else. Because you also got to realize inflation and everything else, things cost more. And so we just need to make sure that we are keeping those services available to our citizens, because they're vital.
Ms. Dykes, do you have comments on this?
I don't want to commit to a 13% of their budget, but I would like to see the library set up how the animal shelter is set up. And that is a percentage each year that comes from the city of Tuscaloosa, the city of Northport, and the county. It's a metro animal shelter. So I do believe that there should be some kind of percentage. I don't want to commit to the 13% because I don't know their numbers like some people do. But I definitely think there needs to be a metro authority that goes along with the library, just like we do the animal shelter. So I am for a certain percentage being spread out through county, city, and Northport.
Mr. Smith?
I'm gonna think outside the box here just a little bit. I'd love to see Northport have its own library, right? We're talking about the schools and how run down they are and how the kids aren't learning. What if we introduce a library that where people can walk to and don't have to cross the river? What does our $350,000 look like over the course of the next 5 years? We've lived in some pretty small towns, and they all have libraries. And whether it's a satellite for Tuscaloosa County or Northport City Library, I don't know. But why not? Why not have facilities available to more people, if that's what we're talking about? I think I'm not going to say that, but I think we don't need to rely so much on Tuscaloosa for our success, right? Yes, it's Tuscaloosa County, but the library's over there, right? And we have a lot of people that maybe can't get over there. I know we limit our time over the library just because it's that much further to drive. So I would introduce the idea of let's think outside the box on this, and how can we make it better? And if it's not pumping more money into the library or trying to match funds, then let's think about something else. There's always more than one way to get something done, and I think we've all established that our school systems are lacking, or that our schools are lacking, and that may be a crucial component to that. Yeah, that's all.
Mr. Wiggins, what are you thinking?
I think it's fine in the abstract to say Northport is 13% of the population and should pay 13% of the burden. I think the difficulty with that is twofold. One is that we're not close to paying 13% now, and that would be a massive increase in funding. So I think you have to work your way up to that, which I feel like we've been working at. Is at least my perspective is trying to push that number up every year so that we do give them more. But I can promise you, as soon as we say, well, yeah, we're going to give 13% to the library, then PARA is going to come to us and go, how about our 13%? Because they're saying the same thing. And I think the difficulty for, when you're working with having to get agreement between the council members as well as saying, okay, what are our priorities? If our priorities are making sure that our employees are able to have a cost of living increase, then how much can we give to, the library, and how much can we give extra to PARA, and how much can we give to all these other agencies that we give funding to? And it is a balancing act. So I would not commit to a 13%. I think it is something we need to continue to grow, and I think it's absolutely fair to ask Northport to pay more of its fair share. But I don't think it would be economically viable for us to push it all the way to 13% immediately. I just don't think that works.
Ms. Bubba?
I served on the Tuscaloosa Public Library's Foundation Board for just shy of a decade myself, and removed myself from the board when I was elected to office for Northport. I do believe it's a conflict of interest to continue serving on that board. And the reason why it is such a big conflict is because I would have felt like I was lobbying for the money, all of our money, to go to the public library. I had an office across the street from the library for, I don't know, 5 or so years, going back between the farmers market and the amphitheater for 7 years, and I saw how much it was used. I see how much the employees from the library come into our Northport schools. I see the way that they supplement and the programming that they offer. And we used to have a library inside City Hall, and it had books that I could check out when I was a little girl, and I wanted that to be there again. The numbers fell off with people who were utilizing it, and staffing it became a problem, and then staffing it with no one coming in became a bigger problem. So there are reasons why things have transpired the way that they have. Is it time to revisit that? gosh, I would love that. I would love for there to be a library inside City Hall or down on the riverbank. There is just so much that the library does for us that people don't realize. In the same respect, we have to take care of our employees first. We have to take care of all of the other agencies that we fund. We have to make sure that, you know, if the library is asking us for an extra $100,000, did they increase their employee pay by that amount? And we weren't allowed to increase our employee pay by that amount. So there's just pros and cons with everything, and I think that keeping the budget balanced and choosing those agencies and how we're able, sorry. I could go all night on that one.
Let's see, Mr. Clark, I don't think we've asked you this question.
Libraries are important. I'm not quite sure what 13% of their budget would equate to, but it sounds like obviously it's a lot more than what we're paying now. It correlates with your quality of life and for the kids and language conversation literacy. It's important. I think with 13%, that's pretty high, but that's something we could probably as a council work up to. I like some of all the comments that have been made, and now being the last person, I think most things have been said, but 13% is pretty high, but whatever we're paying now, we need to look at those going forward.
Well, you're not the last person, because Mr. Stone hasn't spoken. I'm trying to, if I leave anybody out, please holler really loud. Mr. Stone, I think we need to hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. So my initial thought was, what percent of the people from Northport utilize the library? And I'll be completely honest, I'm ignorant of a lot of the services that they provide for the city schools. So that would be something I would have to learn on a personal level and then evaluate, you know, the commitment from our city as far as the funding that we would provide for them. And I don't believe there's anything I can add as far as the knowledge of what their budget is, or even how much we even give them today. I don't know those numbers. But again, like everybody said, I think it's an important asset for the children and adults that may not have internet access or computer access. I do know those things exist there, because I've used them myself in years past. So I guess to answer your question on the short term is, it would be a subject matter that I would have to learn more about before I can make a decision and commitment.
Would you like to move away from money for a question? This is a question about a potential restructure. Hold on, let me find it here. A potential restructuring of the city council in the way that committees are assigned. And I addressed the group by saying, currently there are 2 council members per committee, with District 4 not represented on any committee. Would you change the structure of the city council so that all districts have a voice in all committees? And I'm just going to go down the line and start with Ms. Bobo. Do you think all districts should have a representation on all committees, or is it working the way it is?
I do think all districts should participate in all committees. I do. I do believe in that, and I do think everyone should participate. I do believe in the current structure because I believe that it allows us to be able to divvy up the work, but I do think that everyone should participate so that the work is shared and fair.
Mr. Smith, we're just going to come down the line.
I like the idea of having groups that work together, not the committee structure that's there right now. I think it's important for all 5 districts to represent themselves anytime there's any kind of council matters. Any of the committees that are out there now, it's important that all 5 districts are represented equally. And so I'm not a big fan of the committee structure, just because it does, let's talk about the last 5 years. I mean, it's, like you just said, District 4 is not represented on any of the committees. And had it been more of a working session, that wouldn't have happened. And there would have been representation of all 5 districts. So I think it can be better, and I think to have all 5 districts represented is important.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes, I think all 5 districts should be represented all together. That way, if there's an issue with something that one person cannot solve, then the other person can step in to try to resolve the issue. And I think it'll be a good thing to have, everyone together to solve a problem that's arises in a council meeting.
Mr. Stover?
I'm a little on the fence on this question. I understand the workload, and that's probably the reason why it is structured the way it is now. And if I'm elected, hopefully I can trust my counterparts in the other districts to make good choices at these committee meetings, and then maybe reconvene, as we have our council, pre-council meetings, we can at least discuss things that we're discussing in the other meetings. But I think I would be okay either way, just as long as I can commit the time to it. And I don't know how many committees there are. Again, I'm still learning a lot of things about the structure of the city, and as time goes on, I'll be willing to be a part of those, of course. But like I said, hopefully that whoever is elected, we could trust one another to make the right decision for the city as a whole, just not maybe our district. So again, I would be a game player. I would go either way, whatever we decide to do. I think it would just be a discussion with the new council, or a combination of whoever's on the table tonight, to sit down and make the best decision for all of us.
Mr. Washington?
All right, on the committee thing, I'm gonna kind of like tell you guys how it really is. It's like we have different committees. We meet once a month on the 3rd Monday. And at one point it was about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And it's 2 council members as the chair and co-chair. But everybody's welcome to come to the meeting. Everybody. And I know that the committee that I chair, I give everybody in the room an opportunity to speak. Every council member, the mayor, and every staff in there. If they have something to say, they're welcome to say it. Choosing to be on the committee or whatever, that's your choice. Choose not to, that's your choice. But I don't have a problem either way personally, only because this is, when I came, this is how it was. But at these meetings, it's only 2 council members, they'll vote and decide during the meeting. But it takes 3 votes at the council meeting to approve anything that the committee passed. So the 2 at the committee don't pass everything. They're gonna need to get somebody else to agree with them to make something pass. So that means you have to work and talk to one another and work deals out and negotiate. You have to. I mean, my first years there, it was hard, I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, dang, I gotta do better this time. But honestly, everybody has that opportunity at the committee meeting to be there and to have their voice heard. Nobody has never been able to speak at the committee meeting and give their opinion about something. And at the council meeting, you still need 3 votes. So, short story, I can do either one.
I think I've already said this, so I feel a little bit repetitive. I think the current system's broken. I think it fosters, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it fosters silos being created basically among certain members. And I think the work sessions, something along those lines is a more collaborative effort. It's a more transparent effort. It allows everyone to feel more of a part of things. This is not something I just came up with overnight. There are other cities that do this. In fact, I believe Glenda Webb, who's our outgoing city administrator, has offered it as a possibility in the past when this has been brought up in the newspaper. I believe she was quoted as saying this was absolutely a possibility. So I'm not just coming out of left field with this. But as it stands right now, it's not working. And I just beg to differ with those who are sitting up here who say it is. But I think we need to try something new, and we need to try something more transparent, and we need to try something that fosters a sense across the entire council that we all have a stake in the game and that we're all representing our constituents on a broader level.
Mr. Wiggins?
I'm kind of like Woodrow, I don't really care if we do one or the other. I think the one advantage of having, the two-member committee is that, I have a full-time job, so there are times that I cannot make it to every committee meeting, and I will make it to mine, or I will get mine rescheduled when I'm, a chair or co-chair, because I need to be there, and I know that other people are handling other committee votes, but every issue that gets voted on at committee also has, as Woodrow said, also has to come back to council. So it's not like a committee's passing anything that the rest of the council doesn't get to weigh in on. So I don't really care if we go to a work session. That would be fine. I think committees are fine. I think there are opportunities for everybody to weigh in on every issue, and the reason District 4 isn't represented has nothing to do with the fact that there are committees.
Well, let's hear from District 4.
Things change. I'm okay with the current situation or whatever things change and voted to. You should have 100% commitment to whatever you're asked to do. I'm okay with the work sessions, but it's putting a lot on the council to attend every different meeting, committee. So it's a part-time job to be asked to do a full-time position. So I'm on the record saying whatever changes are made, I'd be okay with it.
And Ms. Dykes?
So much for a question not being directed at an individual. Since this question has been brought up, District 4 is represented in committee meetings. I attend the committee meetings. I just do not chair, and that was my choice to step down. And the reason I did that is I was on projects committee and I was on community outreach. Well, if anybody knows anything about the city of Northport, our engineering department is, on point with our projects. There really is there's no need for that committee. How many times have you been to the holiday open house or to the Easter egg hunt or, anything, the touch a truck? That's all done by staff. That is not done by us. So there is some overlap there. I just did not feel like it was effective. And what Mr. Washington said was partially correct. Yes, you have to have a third vote, but whatever that committee is, the two people who are in there are making that decision what goes to council. So what if they make a decision that they don't want something to go to council that should go to council? Then the third vote is irrelevant. That's why I am so for work sessions, and our city administrator is the one who recommended that to begin with. Everybody needs to sit down at the table with department heads and have these conversations. They should not be done individually.
We are getting close to the end of our time, but one of the really important things that we don't want to neglect that makes Northport unique is the hometown feel of our neighborhoods and protecting that hometown feel of our neighborhoods. So that's what this last question is going to be. There were some areas that people expressed concern about. One was guidelines for things like Airbnbs that would not impinge on nearby residents, parks or green spaces in certain neighborhoods, and also the future of historic Northport. So you've got 3 ways you can go. You can go with all 3, you can go on your own. But we will just, let's see, I think this time I'm going to start with Mr. Wiggins. I can't remember who I've picked on the most here, so start, Mr. Wiggins.
One of the things that I think is, my company has an office in Charlotte, North Carolina, and one of the things that they do really well is they have a lot of green spaces that connect neighborhoods, and it's a thing I would like to see us do more of, especially in areas like, floodways where you can't really build anything, but you could have a green space or a trail or something like that. So I think there are opportunities there for us to do more. I think that the hometown feel of our neighborhoods is a thing that makes us valuable as a city, and I think we need to do what we can to preserve that. I think, you know, if I look at District 3, there are a lot of unconnected spaces within sort of the footprint of my district, and I think that, you know, finding opportunities for us to annex more areas, bring in new neighborhoods and all that, those are things that we could do to connect the communities better. I think that creating walking trails and sidewalks are also things that we want to try to do, and I think our comprehensive plan that we put together in the last year is designed to help us do that, but it's going to take us a while to get there, and I think that is something we should strive for.
Mr. Stone, hometown feel, neighborhoods, historic districts, all of
Yes,
those.
ma'am. One of the things that I initially thought about doing when I realized I was in District 2, after the change last year, was to bring in, and I know in the past we've had some business with Habitat for Humanity. I would really like to rebuild that relationship with the Habitat for Humanity in Northport. I really believe that District 2 and District 1 would greatly benefit from that program. And I know they're committed now to a long-term project in Tuscaloosa, but maybe we could start small with them and bring them in. Excuse me. They do have a roof repair or restoration program that a lot of our citizens would probably benefit from. And I don't know all the qualifications for that, but that would be a good starting place to rebuild that relationship with them. And there's other nonprofits too that could come in and help homeowners revitalize their homes and to help keep some of the historic homes in Northport. We have some beautiful homes in Northport, and I know that, you know, whether they're elderly people for whatever reason may not have the means to do the restoration, new windows, painting, things of that nature. And I agree. I used to be an avid runner, and I would love for our city to be connected through sidewalks, trails. It would just really improve that part of the quality of life. People walk all through our cities, and we don't really have adequate sidewalks to do that. Like in my neighborhood, Northwood Lake, you kind of walk at your own risk sometimes.